My wife and daughter don't know. I've bound myself to the system, and I only need to use my identities as husband and father, accompanying them for 2 years. That would allow me to resurrect my family in the real world. I silently endured his coldness for 5 years. Finally, the mission was successful. News of escaping the world. Before I left, the system gave me 3 days to say goodbye to this place. And these last 3 days, I became the most perfect version of myself in their eyes. They specifically asked me to cook the dishes that their white moonlight, a term of endearment for someone who is unattainable. The mother and daughter locked me in solitary confinement because of my white moonlight. I also idealized love interest, but they don't seem used to my submissive attitude. Nuo's appearance. Finally, I want to buy some things to take back to the world. My friends all asked me, "Are you buying all this to take home?" I smiled and agreed. Yes, I'm going home. The white-collar soldier suddenly looked at me. His eyes were filled with an unprecedented panic. Song Yue, aren't you an orphan? Besides here, where is your home now? I smiled slightly. Just kidding. He finally breathed a sigh of relief. I didn't explain to him. One last day. I'm about to leave. Today is my birthday. I bought myself a cake. This is my last in this world. It's my birthday, even though I'm all alone. I will broadcast well too. I lit the candles and was about to make a wish. The doorbell suddenly rang. Bai Ning. Ice's assistant handed me the box. This is a formal dress that Mr. Bai asked me to bring to you. He told you to go to the 5th floor of the night banquet building to find him. I can't refuse. I had no choice but to go back to my room and change my clothes. I rushed to the address my assistant gave me. Upon arrival, I discovered that everything was in vain. At first, I thought it was Fang Duoduo, a white-collar soldier. The mother and daughter finally remembered that today is my birthday. It also proved, but the next second, then I saw Chu Sheng walk up to me with a smile on his face. Mr. Front, you've finally arrived. Following closely behind Chu Sheng was Ningbing. He Fang Duoduo. As soon as I saw, his expression immediately changed. Ningbing became Chen Mu. Direction. Duoduo tugged at her sleeve, somewhat displeased. Dad, why did you call him over? I heard that today is also Mr. Fang's birthday, same day as me. It's so pitiful to be home alone. Let him come over and join in the fun. What's so funny? He glanced at me. With a hint of smugness, he casually pointed to the long table in the center of the banquet hall. It was filled with gift boxes of all sizes. These were all gifts prepared for me by Ningbing and Duoduo. I can't possibly collect all of them. Mr. Fang, would you like to take a look? I'll give you anything you like. It would be so sad if I didn't receive a gift on my birthday. I could tell he was showing off. He shook his head slightly. Ignore him. No need, since it's a gift for Mr. Chu. Mr. Chu, you can keep it. Seeing that I didn't take the bait, Chu Sheng was not annoyed. Walked to the cake that is several tiers high. She looked at me with a smile, since she didn't want a gift. Then make a wish. Thinking of the wish that was just interrupted. This time I didn't refuse. I clenched my fists. Close your eyes. Silently in my heart, he voiced that wish that no one knew. May the future. The 2 women, Fang Duoduo and Bai Ningbing, will never see each other again. I made a wish. Chu Sheng still had no intention of letting me off the hook. Feigning curiosity, I asked Mr. Fang what wish he made. Why don't you say it? I hadn't even spoken yet. Fang Duoduo's confident voice then came over. What else could it be? Every year he wishes for my mother and me to be safe and happy. This year will definitely be the same. Bai Ningbing, who was beside me, didn't say a word, but from his eyes, I can tell he's obviously that kind of person too. However, I have no intention of explaining, and so the misunderstanding can also reduce a lot of trouble. Chu Sheng smiled and handed me a drink. It was fate, Mr. Fang said. We even share the same birthday. Let's have a drink. Mr. Fang wouldn't refuse to give me face, would he? Upon hearing him say that, Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo stared intently at me. It's as if I'm some kind of monster. Will for a life in southern Chu. I touched it. I found it somewhat funny. A soft call. I raised my glass and clinked it with Chu Sheng's. The birthday party is not over yet. Then other people came to offer a toast. Chu Sheng chatted with the guests in a very generous manner. White collar. Bing and Fang Duoduo remained by his side. Shield him from drinking. Get him some food. Someone noticed me sitting alone in the corner. Then look at the mother and daughter surrounding Chu Sheng. Immediately, a great deal of discussion arose. Mr. Bai is so good to Mr. Chu. She doesn't even care about her own husband. Always by Mr. Chu's side. Who can blame Mr. Chu for being the white moonlight of the white race? If Mr. Chu hadn't suddenly left back then. Where is there any question that has not yet been asked? If you ask me, he should just get a divorce and leave. To avoid things ending up in an unseemly manner. Don't you even know who he married? The richest man's husband. How could he possibly bear to? The discussion was quite heated, even in the corner. I heard their words clearly. Leave the white militia. I smiled and said I didn't need them to urge me. I will be soon. They will disappear from their lives forever. Disappear from this world. At this time, the banquet hall suddenly became noisy. I stood up. It was only then that they realized Chu Sheng had suddenly said his stomach quickly hurt. Called her private doctor. After a thorough examination, the doctor realized that the matter had been left unattended. Mr. Chu's journey had been indicate poisoning. Before I left, the system gave me 3 days to say goodbye to the place. Will be forever and ever. Disappeared from their lives. Disappeared from this world at this time. The banquet hall suddenly became noisy. I stood up. It was only then that they realized Chu Sheng had suddenly said his stomach quickly hurt. Called her private doctor. The doctor treated the dance after a thorough diagnosis. Mr. Bai, Mr. Chu's symptoms indicate poisoning. He needs to be taken to the hospital immediately for gastric lavage. Bai Ningbing's face instantly turned extremely ugly. He took Chu Sheng's arm and walked out of the banquet hall. Before leaving, he left behind only one sentence from the monk Lang. Who did it? I discovered that something had happened to the protagonist. The banquet could not continue. The guests all left in a hurry. I returned to the villa alone. I initially thought this had nothing to do with me. Just waiting for the time to come. Let the system take me back to the real world. Who knew that at dusk, several bodyguards suddenly rushed in. They forced me all the way to Chu Sheng's front. Fang Ying, I have said. As long as you behave yourself, I won't move your position. But you have repeatedly attacked Sheng. It's simply bewildering. I was suddenly dragged here. Once the anger of 1 or 2 people swept over me. Come, I finally pieced together the reason from their conversation. They believe this is the number of people who poisoned Chu Sheng. I didn't leave. My 7th sister. Not to mention that I am about to leave this world. It was really not worth poisoning Chu Sheng. Even if I really hate Chu Sheng, they stayed by Chu Sheng's side the entire time. How could I possibly have a chance to get off the road? But their explanations to me were eloquent. Bai Lingbing immediately turned to look at Chu Sheng. The voice also softened a bit. With that unpleasant, soothing odor, what would you do with him? I will absolutely not protect him. After all, he is your husband. It wouldn't be right to send you to the police station. It would be too much of a slap in the face. Just leave him with me for a day. I will make him confess. Chu Sheng looked at me as if I were being held down by bodyguards. A smile played at the corners of his lips. A smile. I thought they would agree readily. But after a long time, I still didn't get a reply. He looked up and saw the oil stains on Bai Yanbing's face. Fang Duoduo also showed her teeth. Dad, you're leaving. What does he want to do all day? I wouldn't even dare to step on an ant. Could it be that Mr. Fang, did you do anything excessive? I just wanted to reason with them. Let Mr. Fang realize his mistake. Meet their eyes. Chu Sheng's eyes suddenly reddened, although he said that, but I don't know why. Ningbing suddenly felt a little panicked, but in the end, perhaps they felt that what he said made sense. Or perhaps it was because she ultimately didn't want him to feel wrong. He still agreed. It was only emphasized several times that it should be returned in
Even
one day. Fang Bozuo hesitated and refused to leave. Finally, still feeling uneasy, he added a final word of advice. Dad must return him intact. Oh yes. Chu Sheng smiled gently, but his expression changed abruptly after the mother and daughter left. He sent someone to take me back to the Chu family villa. After closing the door, I clearly saw the malevolent glint in his eyes. Chu Sheng gave the bodyguard a wink. The bodyguard, understanding immediately, stepped forward. He kicked me to the ground. Take out a rope and tie me up tightly. That kick was delivered with full force. I just felt a sharp pain in my back. The person had already fallen to the ground before I could recover from the pain. Rushing then took the whip from the bodyguard. He pulled me out hard, extremely strong. Blood was drawn in an instant. The burning pain made me unable to cry out. I have witnessed Chu Sheng's two faces. I naturally know that too. Chu Sheng taking me away is definitely not for good reason. But I didn't expect it. He's so impatient to punish me again. Then the second time, third time, fourth time. He was slapped hard, one after another. Come on, hit me like this. Aren't you worried about not being able to deliver the report in a day? I lay in a pool of blood, unable to hold back any longer. She hearing my question. Chu Sheng remained completely calm. Don't worry. As long as you don't disappear into thin air, even if I beat you until you're on the verge of death, I will also have a reason to go back far away. His voice was full of smugness. But I suddenly smiled. But I'm about to disappear into thin air. Chu Sheng didn't see my smile. He continued to whip tirelessly. The whip gradually became stained with blood. The image of Ma shunning echoed in my ears. You bitch. You dare steal my woman? You want to fight me for the child? I was covered in blood from being slapped. But he still did not beg for mercy. So you really poisoned yourself. But wasn't it you who wanted to leave in the first place? Don't you want them anymore? Hearing this sentence, a foolish laugh in this life, even if I don't want. It's not your turn. I don't know what kind of bewitching technique you used. You actually managed to make Ningbing refuse to divorce you. The tranquility in his mouth came entirely from the suppressed pain. His complaints, like rust, pierced my ears. It just makes me laugh. Why Ningbing is unwilling to divorce? Isn't it also to fulfill his natural freedom? It was he who wanted to leave back then. After leaving, it was him again. Now that Bai Bingbing was with someone else, Chu Sheng had no idea what I was thinking. He slapped harder and harder, as if venting his anger. It was almost like they were going to kill them, until the phone in my pocket rang. It was Bai Ningbing who called. His expression changed. The whipping finally stopped. The call was connected. The eyelids on the other side covered. Not a single greeting. He went straight to the point and told Sanjian to answer the phone. His face stiffened. He reluctantly handed me the phone. His eyes were filled with malice. He opened his mouth, no sound. But I understood what he meant from his lip movements. You dare say one word? I'll make sure you don't get out alive. Better than nothing at all, right? Bai Ningbing. The concern I saw left me silent for a long time. But I still didn't choose to file a complaint at this moment. It only managed to spit out to weak, lifeless utterances of itself. Without the phone's earpiece. I also breathed a sigh of relief when I jumped out of there. I'll pick you up tonight. And then there was me. I gave a pathetic laugh. I don't know what's wrong with them today. He suddenly remembered to care about me. Did it sense that I was about to leave? Seeing that I was silent, the breathing on the other end deepened slightly. You still need to speak. Chu Sheng snatched the phone and hung up. He tossed the whip to the bodyguard. The coldness in his eyes intensified. Just leave a breath. Didn't Mr. Bai say he'd pick someone up tonight? The bodyguard hesitated for a moment, but he glared at me fiercely. I'll try to stall them, if I go out now. You just need to torture him until dawn. Chu Sheng left. The torment did not end. Pain with each strike of the whip. It has invaded all my consciousness. I didn't see them that night as expected. For Chu Sheng, they broke their promise again until dawn. The bodyguards, who were taking turns, finally stopped moving. I had already been beaten to a pulp and chopped into pieces. Covered in wounds. His whole body was almost covered in blood. Shocking. The faint sound of car engines could be heard outside the villa. The bodyguard's expressions changed drastically. He quickly called the maid. The servants dragged me into the room. They changed my clothes while cleaning the bloodstains. Finally, they helped me sit on the sofa in the small boat. A group of people invited guests and then disappeared without a trace. When I was the only one left in the whole villa, a floating golden light suddenly appeared in front of me. Congratulations, host. The companionship mission has been completed. Your real family members have been resurrected. Do you wish to immediately leave this world? My heart was filled with excitement. His face was completely devoid of strength. He just looked up at the system. He asked if I could do him a favor before leaving. The system's mechanical voice came through, and Duoduo wanted me. What do you need me to do to help Chu Sheng frame me these past few days? Show me all the CCTV footage. That hurt me. Just consider it. My existence in this world. The last gift left for the mother and daughter. Can host. Please get ready. I'm about to take you home. The sound fell. Golden light fell on me. Vanished without a trace in the blink of an eye. Only one surveillance video was left. It was quietly placed on the sofa where I had been sitting. At this time, Ningbing and Fang Duoduo were the first to walk in. Looking at the empty living room, the feeling of unease in my heart grew stronger. I feel like something has slipped away, but he couldn't keep him. I didn't see the person I wanted to see. The white-collar soldier frowned deeply. He looked at Chu Sheng, who followed closely behind him as he entered. Where's the cashier? His smile seemed somewhat forced. He raised his hand and pointed towards the sofa. The person is perfectly fine. What he wanted to say, just sit comfortably on the sofa. Turning my head, I saw an empty sofa. A slight tremor. The next second, his sharp eyes swept over the bodyguards. The person suddenly disappeared. The bodyguards felt a sudden surge of emotion. They all shook their heads and explained to the white militiamen that they had gone to waste. When we went out, the gentleman was indeed the one sitting on the sofa. Seeing everyone start squeaking, unable to utter a common saying, turned out to be. He felt a surge of anger rush to the top of his head. Sternly reprimand. He didn't. Hurry up and go find the others. I just feel like I have no way to express my suffering. They couldn't tell by Ningbing. They beat me up all night. He suffered such a serious injury. According to the factory, I simply cannot leave. But unfortunately, I'm not in the living room right now. They even searched the entire villa. I didn't find any scenery that suited me. Fang Duoduo didn't know why either. From yesterday with Bai, the militiamen left the Chu family villa together. His heart inexplicably raced with panic. It wasn't until that evening that the white militia made that phone call. Hearing me say no put my mind at ease. I thought I'd finally see him today. Upon arriving here, they discovered that the person had disappeared. That feeling of unease, it swept over me again from my heart. He looked up at Chu Sheng. His eyes held a reproach he himself hadn't even realized. Didn't Dad say that? Will we return him intact today? He saw through Fang Duoduo's resentment. His face was kind. Subconsciously, he looked at Bai Ningbing, seeking comfort. I saw the look in his eyes as he looked at me. It also carried a hint of blame. A feeling of grievance welled up from the bottom of my heart in an instant. I never expected them to question themselves for my sake. Not written on the surface. His admiration for me grew even stronger. They are my wife and daughters. However, he left for 5 years. They found someone else to replace him. If you don't want a divorce, then so be it. Now I've simply disappeared. They actually started blaming him. I really don't know. Starting last night. Haven't I been with you guys all along? How is that possible? What is the other party's husband like? How could you look at me like that? His eyes turned red in an instant. Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo were momentarily speechless. Brother Shen, I don't blame you. But now the winds and clouds have suddenly disappeared. We need to find it first. I'm sorry, Dad. I don't mean to blame you. The two apologies did not earn Chu Sheng's forgiveness. He walked angrily to the sofa and prepared to sit down. I saw the surveillance video placed on the sofa. My heart is full of doubts. I don't know where this thing came from. Just as I was about to pick up the white-collar soldier and his daughter, who came with him, I also saw that surveillance video. Quickly took the things over. What kind of videotape is this? Seeing that both of them were interested, the person controlling the video seemed very interested. I don't know why. A voice in Chu Sheng's heart told him, "We can't let Bai Ning." The mother and daughter opened the videotape. Just as he was about to reach out and grab those bodyguards came back looking like they'd been kicked to death. Bai has searched everywhere he can. Still haven't found Mr. The air seemed to freeze in an instant. Fang Duoduo looked at the videotape in Bai Ningbing's hand. Suddenly speaking, "Mom, is this something Uncle Fang left behind?" Bai Ningbing seemed to have been reminded by him. Now nobody knows where I went. The only clue. It seems that the only thing he has is the videotape in his hand. Thinking of this, he turned his gaze to the television opposite the sofa. He randomly pointed to a bodyguard. "Go and release the militia." Chu Sheng hadn't finished speaking yet. The bodyguard had already stepped forward, trembling. I took the surveillance video and started operating it. All eyes were focused on the screen. I'm afraid something that shouldn't happen will happen. The next second, a loud, arrogant, static sound rang out. The image was clearly visible to everyone. The first to appear. It's a video recording from the kitchen on the day Chu Sheng moved into the Bai family home. The video clearly shows how he, after I refused his help, people just carelessly scratched the soup, deliberately letting go and splashing the soup behind him. Then, after Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo arrived, feigning a pitiful appearance, he said I deliberately spilled the soup on him. The birthday party followed immediately. The entire process of his poisoning was recorded. Bai Ningbing looked at the screen. After he took the drink from the waiter, he furtively took a packet of medicine out of his bag. It was all poured into one of the glasses of wine. Then, after waking up from a stomach lavage, through tear-filled eyes, she said I was the mastermind. Then came yesterday, Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo. On the way after leaving the Chu family villa, he laughed. Duoduo personally escorted the mother and daughter out of the villa. He immediately picked up the whip and lashed it at me. When he called to ask about my situation, also export threats, I am not allowed to ask for help. After the call ended, with a sinister expression, he ordered the bodyguards to continue just the torture. Keep a breath. He went to stall them. The expressions on the faces of the mother and daughter, as one scene after another appeared, from initial shock and disbelief, the unbearable sight of me being tortured, until the end. All of it turned into hatred towards Chu Sheng. His face was so gloomy it looked like it could drip ink. They were all fake. Chu Sheng was lying to them all. Until this moment, Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo finally understood. Why did the martial arts performer suddenly come to us last night? Make a pitiful face. I said I never want to be separated from them again. This is what you mean by Feng Yuan harming you. This is what you mean by not knowing how to use squares and circles. Dad, didn't you say you were going to tell Fang today? Did they return them intact? If what I just asked was merely a subconscious inquiry, this time, Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo's tone, all that remains is alienation and questioning. Chu Sheng appeared after the first scene. Panic began to spread. Even her smiling face turned pale. Chu Sheng just couldn't understand it. Feng Yuan was beaten into that state. They actually managed to escape, even before leaving. It also left this surveillance footage from who knows where. Because of one of his poems, Chu Sheng's legs went weak for a moment, fall to the ground, shaking his head helplessly. Even now, he still thinks of himself. Ningbing Duoduo. You must believe me. I don't have these videos. It must have been forged by that bastard Fang Yuan. Framed me. You know, I wouldn't even dare to step on an ant normally. How could someone do such a thing? He was busy defending himself, but he was forgotten in front of Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo. The persona I created for myself, how could he blurt it out to someone? This way of addressing people. Bai Ningbing's eyes were as dark as ink. I grabbed his chin. He let out a cold laugh. I was wrong. How could anyone believe you from 5 years ago? The man who could so heartlessly abandon me and Duoduo. Kind-hearted. I believed you and went to punish a Yuan. But they didn't know. You are the truly vicious one. Chu Sheng, I misjudged you. But people must always take responsibility for the mistakes they make. Isn't that right? Tell me, how should I punish you? Chu Sheng took in the hatred in his eyes. Panicked and desperate, he begged for mercy. I searched the surroundings. Finally, it fell on Fang Duoduo. He looked to him for help. He tried to get him to beg for mercy on his behalf. Duoduo, please beg your mother. Dad knows he was wrong. You can't treat me like this. Fang Duoduo. Yiran reached out and tugged at Bai Ningbing's sleeve. Upon seeing this, a glimmer of hope and triumph flashed in his eyes. See? No matter how good Fang Yuan is to Fang Duoduo, so what? He still doesn't remember his kindness. Just say one word. He will still plead for himself. Bai Ningbing turned to look at Fang Duoduo. His face held a suppressed anger. It was obvious that he felt he should plead for Chu Sheng, but the next second, Mom can punish him anytime she wants. The most urgent task now is to find Dad as soon as possible. This was after Chu Sheng returned. Fang Duoduo called me Dad for the first time. It's a pity I can no longer hear it. It's no longer rare. Chu Sheng, upon hearing the changed title, the glimmer of hope that had just begun to rise, it was instantly shattered. His eyes were filled with unbelievable ignorance. I don't believe, just because of this unknown origin. The video that suddenly appeared, they all gave up on themselves. He shouted loudly for Bai Ningbing. Fang Duoduo and her mother left without looking back. Only a few bodyguards remain, Chu Sheng and those men who whipped me. They were all tied up. He was sent back to the Liu family villa and locked up. With the remaining bodyguards, the search area was gradually expanded along the Chu family villa, but he searched the entire Chu family, searching through history, searched the whole country. But I was never found again. Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo, mother and daughter, they never gave up looking for me. They called the police, send out player information, 3 days or 3 weeks. 3 months have passed. Still nothing. It must be a prison, separated by a layer of special glass. Chu Sheng and Bai Ningbing, mother and daughter, sat facing each other. He was wearing a jersey. There was a wrinkled patch on his face, extremely ugly and harmful scars. It's the outside of the scalded glass. Bai Ningbing coldly refused. They were not moved in the slightest by his current miserable state. After all, these scars are all related to him. 3 years ago, after he learned what Chu Sheng had done, they then took him back to the villa. Everything he once test drove on me, they were all returned. Start with the piping hot soup inside. He personally boiled a kettle of water and poured it on his right side. He never physically assaulted her, even when she begged for so many years. He then returned that many phone calls. They beat him until he screamed incessantly, on the verge of death. If it weren't for the later search for my disappearance, I hugged you. This also led to a series of related events. What Chu Sheng did was also made public. He was also imprisoned while being mocked by a stranger, mostly Chu students. They will suffer countless torments at his hands. But even after going to prison, his life wasn't much better. He was called a shameless mistress, relieved by all girlfriends, asking questions, not being able to get enough. They had already made their decision. Is it possible to not sit down and have a proper conversation? The matter at this moment, both Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo looked helpless. It's not that you know where Eheim is. Neither the mother nor the daughter wanted to come. People from outside have been searching for him for 3 years. How could someone in prison find him? Unless he had already been heartless enough to kill me back then. He hid. But if that's really the case, he didn't have to wait until today, 3 years later. Only then were they willing to open up and tell them. But if there is even a sliver of hope, they didn't want to let it go. Chu Sheng's face was not yet burned. The half of the mouth that became stiff. He laughed. It looked incredibly strange. If a timid person saw, I'm afraid I'll be so scared that I'll have nightmares in the middle of the night. But even 8-year-old Fang Duoduo at this moment. Upon seeing this scene, their expressions remained unchanged. He seemed oblivious. His voice was hoarse when he opened his mouth. Yes, I know he's long gone from this world. He went back to his own world. It's ridiculous that you're torturing me over him. So much manpower and resources were spent searching for him. Actually, he never loved you at all. Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo heard these words. First, correct. My second reaction was disbelief. What is not in this world? They never loved them at all. It's all bullshit. In this world of strange powers and supernatural beings, the mother and daughter had remarkably similar expressions. I think Chu Sheng is because of their previous mistreatment. Mo deliberately said this to provoke them. It immediately became a face. Get up to leave. But he called out to them again. Don't you want to know? The photo Feng Yuan was holding that time. Who are those two people? Hoarse voice. Pass. The phone, carelessly tossed on the table, rang out. Some distortion. Some parts were hard to hear. But the white-collar soldier and Uncle Fang hid from the mother and daughter. They will all remain where they are. Long-buried memories suddenly burst forth. Memories keep turning the pages. The final image is frozen in time. The photo I saw once. Obviously, they remembered it too. Slightly yellowed and aged photos. The photo shows two people, one big and one small. Eyes full of love and intimacy. And that's the look in my eyes that I miss. He returned to their side 3 days later, after much nagging. And the fingers that gently wiped the photos. They used a little force. My heart ached as I snatched the photo back. How does it resemble our relationship? These shouldn't be friends I haven't contacted in a long time. Chu Sheng saw their footsteps remaining in place. The corners of my eyes were tinged with a crazy, he was tortured for 3 whole years. What gives them the right to live a carefree and contented life? I had a dream these past few days. I dreamed of another world. That world is very similar to our world. But that world wasn't added in vain. Without Bai Bingbing, there was no Fang bobbing. But that world has a square or a circle. He knew. The two people are the two people in that photo. One called him husband. One called him dad. I can tell. His state when he was with them. It's different from when I'm with you guys. His happiness there was genuine. His love for them was true love. Instead of being as obedient as I am to you. But he lived like a puppet. I saw a golden ball of light. Feng Yuan called him. The system would occasionally talk to him. I only found out then. So that's what Fang Yuan is all about. He is not from this world. Come, keep you company. It's just because his wife and children in that other world were in a car accident. Became a vegetable. The companionship task released by the system next. I've been with you for 5 years. One of the requirements of the task. I just want to be completely obedient to you. He never loved you. In his eyes, they're just the targets of the mission. Chu Sheng enjoyed reading the numbers more and more. But every time he said a word, Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo's expressions, it's just a little pale. Until Fang Duoduo's face was completely drained of color. His eyes were full of confusion and helplessness. You lied to me in just 3 words. His voice was already trembling with tears. Want to defend. Want to deny. Looking up, the poet's eyes were filled with tears as she gazed at Bai Ningbing. He lied to us, didn't he? How could Dad not love us? How could that be? For the past 5 years, I have done everything they asked for, no matter how unreasonable their demands are. I will do my best to do it, even if they wronged me. There's not even a need for an apology, as long as they offer a step forward. They said they wanted to eat the food I cooked. I will do it well. Delivered to them. Oh right. Chu Sheng said that was because of the system's requirements. That Duoduo had been fussing in her heart for a long time. But they discovered that besides companionship and complete obedience, he couldn't seem to find it either. Other evidence that I love them. Bai Ningbing answered his question in silence. But in my heart, I was troubled by Chu Sheng's words. It stirred up a stormy sea. He suddenly remembered something I used to keep muttering. 7 days. I was asked 3 days ago. I just said it was nothing. But looking back now, the day I disappeared. Isn't this the last day of my countdown? White-collar soldier didn't want to believe the scales in my heart, but they had already sided with what Chu Sheng said. But he still felt the fire wasn't big enough, continuously adding fuel to the fire. Otherwise, you can think about it yourself. In the past 3 years, the Chu family villa. He's already been completely cornered by you all, hasn't he? I am a 25-year-old man. He suffered such a serious injury again. What to do? Only then can one be free from any surveillance. Under the conditions of shooting, he ran out of the villa in just 3 minutes. But not even a trace was left. How did I find out that he framed me? They've reversed my surveillance footage. Isn't it because of all that? Was it all the system's help that got me? It's really laughable. I actually ended up with a pressure. The root did not place you in my heart. They're not even from the same world as us. You too, this self-proclaimed loving mother and daughter, are fighting over So I deserve my current fate. Ha 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 ha. If only he had recognized his own heart sooner. The story between us. Could there be another ending? When I left, could it be because he hid from Fang? And a little bit of reluctance arises. Unfortunately, there are no what-ifs in this world. In another room, Fang Duoduo searched the entire villa. But to my dismay, I discovered a gradual increase in competition within the villa community. To the point that now he can't even bring himself to think of someone when he sees something. People always feel better after losing something. Only then did I realize how precious people are. Just like when I was still by his side. He's taking advantage of the fact that I'll never get angry with myself. She would obey him no matter what. They hurt and belittled me without restraint. Now I know I have another child. He will never see me again. My heart suddenly felt empty. It's like losing your most beloved toy. Fang Duoduo recalled the past again. I was caught burning my things twice. Looking back now, maybe at that time, he was already thinking about leaving. If he had noticed something was wrong then. If you choose to participate in the obstruction, will things be different again? Will I stay? Will it at least leave him with a glimmer of hope? It's a pity that he saw my actions at that time. It was just that their attitude was extremely bad. It's always garbage. The things you burn are all your own. Children's emotions come and go very quickly. I can't suppress my emotions like an adult. He could only lean against the door of the room where I used to live. Hugging his knees, Tao cried loudly. He will never have a father again. The servants inside the villa had no idea what was happening. All I know is that the two owners came back. He locked himself in his room. The only connection was having someone send alcohol in. The other one is to run to where it is already. The room of the male homeowner who has been missing for 3 years. Tao cried loudly. No matter how much they tried to persuade him, he refused and the crying never stopped. I can only be thankful that I left. As night deepened, the mother and daughter both drank too much alcohol. He was so drunk that he passed out. One cried until she was exhausted. He leaned against the door and fell into a deep sleep. The villa finally quieted down. That night, Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo meet in a dream. In a vast white void. Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo looked completely bewildered, despite usually acting righteously and more mature than his peers. But suddenly I found myself in an unfamiliar place. Fang Duoduo still subconsciously looked towards Bai. The direction of the troop leader shifted slightly, who vaguely sensed something unusual about this place. After a brief moment of confusion, the commander also subconsciously pulled Fang Duoduo behind him, warily surveyed the surroundings. Just then, A golden light suddenly appeared. System 1107 received a strong desire. Successfully linked with the host. Hello, both hosts. I am System 1107. It is my pleasure to serve the host. Complete the tasks released by the system. You will get one chance to have your wish granted. Would you like to bind your account to the system? Fulfill your wish. The development of events was too fantastic. Ningbing and Fang Duoduo exchanged glances. It feels like I'm dreaming. Thinking back to my last conversation with Chu Sheng, unconsciously, the right hand touches the left hand. He condensed it tightly. No feeling. Fang Duoduo watched helplessly as the usually composed mother who doesn't show her emotions. He just twisted his left hand like that. The sense of dejection after gazing at it was palpable. I couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Was it really a dream? The system recognized them at a glance. What are you thinking? Therefore, it was explained that this was not a dream. The reason why I can't feel pain. It's just that the system space can only be entered by the soul. Only when the soul is damaged can one feel pain. However, given that the soul is damaged and cannot be restored, it is not recommended to try. The last sentence. This completely dispelled the white malicious idea of trying it. He hasn't seen me again yet. How can one suffer irreparable harm? First, thinking of this, he held Fang Duoduo's hand tightly, looking up at the golden bald head. Can it really help us fulfill our wishes? Anything is fine. Go to another world. I can see whoever I want to see. Hearing the trembling questions from the white militia, Fang Duoduo's mind was thus stirred by the details. I learned 3 years ago that I had suffered so much injustice. Start 2. Later they learned that I had ulterior motives for coming to their side. In the past 3 years, he thinks about seeing me again all the time. Now, suddenly know that I will be able to see you again. He was extremely excited. But I'm also afraid that in the end it will all be for nothing. Yes, as long as the tasks issued by the system are completed. You will then have the opportunity to fulfill your wish. Given the special nature of the host's wish, there are now 2 options. Choose a companion system. Randomly travel to a world, accompanying the task recipient for 5 years. During this period, you cannot refuse any of the task recipient's requests. After the task is completed, you can receive a reward for having your wish fulfilled once. Second choice, distribute wealth system. Enter the designated world. Select the specified task object. 90% of the assets acquired in the quest world are bound to the quest world. Will be done in any way. Transfer to the target's name. And after choosing to enter the mission world, they will be unable to return to the original world. The 2 choices correspond to 2 paths. The white-collar workers exchanged furtive glances. Without the slightest hesitation, I chose the second option. That world for them. There's nothing left to cherish, as long as you can stay by my side forever. So what if you need to transfer 90% of your assets to me? This is what they owe me. The compensation should be given to me. As for that companion system, you also have to be obedient and stay with someone else for 5 years. They couldn't wait a moment longer. The next instant, an electronic mechanical sound rang out. Task accepted successfully. World corridors are being connected. As the sound rang out, Ningbing and Fang Duoduo felt a sudden dizziness. He quickly lost consciousness completely. When the mother and daughter woke up, the scene before my eyes has changed. White ceiling. The pungent smell of disinfected water. All of this proclaims their current position. I opened my eyes groggily in the hospital. I saw a nurse. I'm busy exchanging some gifts for them. Hearing a noise, the nurse glanced back. A smile habitually appeared on his face. The 3rd year after waking up and returning to the world, I suddenly received a call from an unknown number. Who are you? I am at the Rehabilitation Center of King's Central Hospital, accompanying Chef Shen Yu and Fang Yuexin for their follow-up Although they are far from being in a vegetative state, he has been awake for 3 years. However, the prolonged coma combined with the damage from the car accident, they still need to be retested. Only then can it gradually return to its original state. This is the last time we'll come here. The phone rang at that very moment. Hello, is this Mr. Fang Yuan? I answered the phone. Yes, a strange girl. After receiving my affirmative reply, he then continued speaking. This is the inpatient department of Beijing Central Hospital. 2 patients said they were your friends. Would it be convenient for you to come over? 2 patients. I find it a bit strange, but I figured it wasn't that far, so I agreed. Me and Shen, Yu in front, Chu and Fang Yuexin greeted each other. He got up and walked towards the inpatient department. The inpatient department is on the 5th floor, opposite the rehabilitation center. The nurse's station is right in front of me. After asking for the specific room number, just walked over. Confined to a small hospital room. Blue curtains separated the beds. Only the curtains between the 2 middle hospital beds did not pull. It's obvious they're looking for my 2 patients. I stepped forward, but when he saw the 2 people sitting on the hospital bed, suddenly frozen in place, white-collar soldier, aren't Fang Duoduo and the others from the mission world? How did you end up here? And in such a sorry state, in that world. They are incredibly wealthy. Get the wind you want. When have I ever lived in such a dilapidated house? By Ningbing and her daughter Fang Duoduo. When you see me. His eyes suddenly reddened. Taiyuan, we miss you so much. You went to great lengths to find me. For what reason? After a brief moment of stunned silence, I quickly regained my usual composure. Looking at their eyes. It's like looking at a stranger again. A distant and indifferent gaze bestowed a unity upon their hearts. Fang Duoduo even jumped off the hospital bed. Dad hugged my leg tightly. My mom and I know we were wrong. Please forgive me and my mother, okay? I was ignorant before. Taking advantage of your pampering. Deliberately bullying you. But I've really learned my lesson now. In just a few words. His eyes straightened up. A pool of water paired with his cute and delicate features. Very endearing. Bai Ningbing pulled down the curtain. He held me and cried, just like me. I can only secretly envy you from the bottom of my heart. Min Chun then awkwardly spoke up, a Yuan. I've been looking for you for 3 years. From now on, I have misunderstood you a great deal. Let birth. I've hurt you too many times. But after I learned the truth, he got what he deserved. He was also sent to prison. We all know the Korean one. We'll punish you however you want if we're wrong. Please don't leave us. Leng Li was once ruthless and decisive. Always maintain a clear and bright demeanor in front of me. The alienated richest man. By now I am finally with the one I've been longing for. People who reunited after 3 years. It dripped from his noble head, begging for my mercy. But back then they were completely obedient to them. Everyone says I love them to death. When faced with their humble pleas for mercy, my heart remained completely unmoved. The patient in the next bed heard us making noise, peeking in through the drawn curtains. Taking in the full force of Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo's Jiantai, just as I was about to sigh in my heart, what a heartless man. Even when you can abandon your wife and children. Then they heard my voice. I do have a wife and children. But not you, Miss Bai. We're just ordinary friends who've met a few times. If you just want to stay here, there's no need to drag me into this. If my wife and children saw this, they'll be jealous. I showed no mercy to Fang Duoduo, parting it from her own legs. After saying these words, he turned and left the ward, leaving the room filled with boundless curiosity. Hearing gossip, patients who wish they had super hearing. To watch the show or to openly They all turned their attention to them, whether secretly or covertly. It was winter at the time. Snowflakes drifted down from the sky in delicate circles. I stood on the veranda watching the snowflakes drift gently down. Reach out and take a piece. The cool sensation vanished in an instant in my palm. Finally, it turned into tiny water droplets. 3 years later, I thought, I have forgotten what happened when I transmigrated to my first life. Everything I've experienced. Now, with the appearance of Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo, but it abruptly brought back that long-buried memory of mine. They all came out. I suddenly remembered the day I completed my mission. The idea of time travel and having a system is too fantastic. When I woke up again, I found myself back in my familiar room. In a daze, I thought I was just doing one show after another. Real dreams, but I was wearing. The system can send me back 5 years. Just after leaving, all injuries sustained by the body during the mission event, but they all inevitably came with me. I traveled back in time. My body is covered with large and small cuts and lacerations. They haven't even had time to deal with it yet. Blood was still seeping out in thin streams. There is a medicine box in the villa, but I don't even have the strength to stand up. How could I possibly go again? After getting the first aid kit, you can apply the medicine to yourself. Although the maid can help me bring the medicine box, they can also help me apply medicine. But I can't. Explaining the origin of his scars. Fortunately, the system did not. They left completely after bringing me back. I could see my predicament. They also considered that I was doing this to complete the task. That's why he suffered such a serious injury. He then took the initiative to heal my wounds. Wisps of laser light emanated from the system through the glass, inserted into my body. I felt it very quickly. A feeling of comfort spread through my body. I raised my hand in surprise. Just now, you could still see the hand that was exposing flesh and energy. It has now fully recovered. It's even more difficult to act than before. It doesn't seem like it was Fang and her daughter Fang Duoduo were completely obedient to each other. Hands that have been a nanny for 5 years. More like before time travel. She was pampered and cherished by Shen Yuchu and Fang Yue. The appearance of an index finger that has never touched water. The moment when the body is fully recovered, my phone rang. I picked it up. That was the sound of great surprise from the Forbidden City. Mr. Shen and Miss woke up. I hung up the phone as soon as the machine stopped working. I hurriedly called a driver and rushed to Beijing Central Hospital. Half an hour's journey. It was forcibly compressed into 10 minutes. I can't wait. The elevator stopped at each floor from the 5th floor. I simply ran straight towards the stairs. When I arrived at the ward, panting, push open the door. The people inside immediately looked at me. In the afternoon, sun, Shen Yuchu's exquisite and charming face, still bearing a hint of paleness from recovering from a serious illness. Bedridden for a year. Let him originally. Her well-proportioned figure made her face appear slightly thinner. Her pale lips curved into a faint smile as she looked at her small eyes. The moment she saw me, she was unable to shake me off. Fang Yuexing, who has always been well-behaved, he was held in Shen Yuchu's arms. Tears welled up in the corners of her eyes. He looked like a pitiful little thing who had just been crying. Hearing the door open, the little head immediately turned around. It was me. He immediately patted his mother's hand, begging her to let go of him. Then it came running over with a pattering sound. When I squatted down and opened my arms, she suddenly buried herself in my arms. Dad, I'm so glad you're okay. In addition, the year I fell into a coma after a car accident and Fang Yuexing is only 5 years old. I narrowly escaped death. I still can't be as calm as Shen Yuchu. The car accident happened in the same car. Both he and his mother were seriously injured. Naturally, they were also afraid that I was under their protection. Injuries will still be unavoidable. He was afraid that he would be separated from his father. I'm even more afraid that he and his mother will leave first. I was left all alone. I held Fang Yuexing tightly in my arms. A large tear slid down from the corner of her eye. Before it could drip, it was gently wiped away by a small hand. I looked up, my vision blurred by tears. Want to speak? The bitterness and grievances I felt for the rocket made my nose turn red. Tears fell in large drops again. Shen Yuchu patiently wiped the tear stains from my face. Wipe it all away. A gentle kiss landed on my cheek. His hands overflowed with both a large and a small. They both hugged each other tightly. Gentle and soothing to me. Feel sorry. I'm sorry you've been worried about me and the kids lately. I will never come again. Don't cry. If you cry again, my heart will break. Fang Yuexin's little hands kept gently patting away my tears, until my emotions finally calmed down. The nurses who came to check on us saw us like this. He also smiled and offered a few words of comfort. It's a good thing the patient has regained consciousness. 2 people in a vegetative state regain consciousness. It's like 2 miracles happened at once. With such luck, I believe in Miss Shen and the children. Everything will be alright afterward. Only Shen Yuchu and Fang Yuexing. I don't feel anything yet. Now that others are present, I finally realized, somewhat belatedly, that I was starting to feel shy. How can this not be considered a miracle? They could have just died peacefully like this. But I miraculously encountered the system. However, after enduring 5 years of grievances, that would save their lives. I made a profit, but waking up does not mean recovery. Many after effects of a car accident, they all still require a long period of rehabilitation to gradually reach the most perfect state. Fortunately, there is system assistance. Their reconstruction process went very smoothly. Dad, choose quickly. 2 calls startled me from my reverie. I turned around. Then they saw Shen Yuchu and Fang Yuexing, mother and daughter, standing under the eaves on the other side. His eyes were full of love and tenderness. Suddenly a gust of wind blew. Snowflakes rolled up, pounced on the group. Finally, it landed on the top of their heads and pointed at me. I walked through the wind and snow, fighting against them in the sweltering summer. But it's just a few steps. My head was then covered by flying snow. Both Dad and Mom's hair has turned white. Is this what the ancients called male white hair? Shen Yuchu smiled and nodded. He then brushed the blood off my body. Adjust the scarf. He stuffed the umbrella into Fang Yuexin's hand. Pick him up with one arm, holding one hand. I'll go. Go home. When we got home, we held hands. Fang Yuexin in her arms used both hands at the same time. It was only with a little effort that the umbrella managed to stabilize itself. The voice was full of joy and excitement. They went home behind them. Bai Ningbing and Fang Duoduo looked at our family of 3. The harmonious and warm interactions between them. Eyes, blood, laryngeal obstruction, they never forgot. He chased after me, hoping to win my heart. They want me to go back to them. But at this moment, they just couldn't bring themselves to take the plunge and chase after them. Will Dad never come back? When my dad, Zhang Duodu's eyes were red. Looking up, they saw me and Shen Yuchu, the direction Fang Yuexing left. The white militia members who remained silent, the sobbing in his voice, so intense it looked like she was about to cry. He wanted to find an answer, a negative answer. But the white militiamen just shook their heads. He said nothing. Nobody knows. What he really meant was, I won't abandon them. Or is it that I will never turn back?